I've been trying to find a practical way of using my TI-9948 computer for specifically RTTY reception. There was a device made for it that allowed just that, but it's really rare and very expensive when you do find it. Eventually, however, I was pointed to this device, the Kantronics KAM All Mode modem, which is essentially a modem that allows packet radio, RTTY, Morse code, ASCII transmissions, and AMTOR. And it's from the 1980s, I believe 86 or 87. And it's built like a tank. It's all metal, and really it's quite capable. I mean, the manual is extensive, and I'm only scratching the surface on how to use it. But for my purposes at this current time, for RTTY, operation is actually pretty simple once you do the setup as dictated by the manual. You do have to open the case and set a few jumpers, etc. Obviously, there are far more modern ways of doing digital communication these days, such as FT8, for example. However, RTTY remains the poster child of this, and it'll be fun to see how this works out. I got this particular unit on eBay for about 70 bucks. They don't come cheap usually, but this one was reportedly untested and came with no cables, power supply, or anything else. Luckily, it actually turned out to work perfectly fine, and the manual is very detailed as far as connections to the back. It has a power supply input. It has a VHF connector and a high frequency connector, and then there's a serial port right here to connect to your computer. I did have to make a couple of things. One is I made a cable to allow for audio input from the radio. As you can see here, I also added extra cables to the other pins because I do plan on using this with other functionality at some time in the future. So I wanted to have that option already made since I was making the cable anyway. Now, as far as connecting to the TI-99/4A, it turned out to be a little bit more tricky because the TI's RS-232 connector is not quite standard, and a straight through serial cable between the CAM and the TI just did not work. I ended up creating my own cable, which is really a 3-wire, which crosses the RX-TX lines and supplies a ground, and that was just enough to create an excellent connection for RTTY purposes. So why don't we go ahead and demonstrate that? Now, as far as connectivity is concerned, we have the CAM up here next to the peripheral expansion box of the TI. This is the back of it. We have the serial cable connected to the RS-232 card in the back, and we have the audio input cable threaded to the front. And if we move over to the TI here side, I have the audio cable connected to my cellular phone because it's really hard to find stable RTTY transmissions in my location currently anyway, and at this time. So I'm using a special website. I'll put a link in the description which actually constantly transmits in standard RTTY local news. And so it's just very simple to connect to that website and just stream the audio to the CAM for decoding. Okay, so here we are at the TI-994A, which is running currently telco at 1200 baud, 8N1 communication parameters, full duplex. And we also have a printer connected, my venerable Panasonic KXB1123 dot matrix, which will be spooling the output as well. So we'll get both a screen copy and a hard copy of the RTTY communication. I do have the my phone here connected to this RTTY website. We'll go ahead and get the cam turned on, and we should see here the introduction. Alright, so we'll start RTTY. It's just as simple as typing RTTY. It will default to 45 baud and a frequency shift of 170. Which is standard RTTY. So we'll go ahead, press enter. Here we are, and we'll activate the printer spool. Let's see. There we are. And let me make sure that the volume is set correctly here. There we are. Alright, and this is a continuously running news site, at least looks like it, it's interesting, but in any case, here we are. We can see here a new transmission, so we can see what the source of the next transmission is going to be like, and we can see here that it's already printing. Hard to see with this. I'll get it out in a minute. I'm waiting. Let's see what the next transmission is all about. So news from Aveda, Colorado. Huh, interesting. I don't know where Aveda, Colorado is, but it must be streaming from some site. So the date is correct, and they're ahead of me by a couple of hours. Huh. So as you can see, RTTY communication can be quite interesting, and one of the reasons I like it is because you can actually do two-way communication live with RTTY because of its slow baud rate. You can type in a comment, wait for a response, come back, type in another response, etc., back and forth, something you cannot do with the newer digital modes like the FT8 mode. So that's where the fun is. You're actually communicating, or what they call in the ham world, rag chewing, in real time with other people online through the radio communication. So really a lot of fun, at least in my view, and it's nice to see that the TI here can do it perfectly fine. And if we look at the output here, we can see that yeah, it's I think the ribbon is starting to fade here, but yeah, it's printing basically one line at a time, and yeah, it works. So you can keep actually a record of all your communications as you're doing it, and that's really great. Alright, so that's it for the TI-994A demonstration of RTTY using the Kantronics All Mode modem. And here's a close-up view of the printout of the communication received, and pretty nifty. And I would be remiss if I didn't demonstrate the actual radio teletype function as if it was the 1940s. Unfortunately, I do not have an original RTTY terminal from that era, but I do have the next best thing, which is a Brother EP44 typewriter slash printer slash terminal, and it allows me to connect to the cam as we did before. I use the same cable as the TI-994A, which is 3 wires, except I did have to use a non-modem adapter with it to make it work. And so here we go. I don't know if this is showing up. Sorry about all the glare. So, actual RTTY or radio teletype, like it was 1940s. And to conclude this video, I should also mention that you can use the CAM with all sorts of other vintage computers, as well as modern computers with a serial to USB cable. Here we have the Amstrad Notepad NC100 from the early 90s, which has an integrated terminal and only requires a straight through serial cable to work. So if we get close here, we start RTTY. Right. And we should be going. Here we are. Yeah, more news. I should sit down and actually read all this more closely. This is live news, actually. I don't know what sort of source this is. It says usually at the beginning of the transmission. It's interesting, but anyway. So that works, and hopefully you have enjoyed that demonstration. It's really fun to play. Next step, of course, is to get my ham license and use the setup to actually transmit RTTY instead of just receiving. I'm also hoping to be able to find some steady RTTY transmissions on shortwave so I can use live transmissions through my shortwave radio. In any case, hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for watching.